Hi guys, it's been a while since I've made a video. I've gone through a lot of changes in the last couple of months, and it's been a really interesting time to say the least. I have been adjusting to being a mom of 5 children. Oh my god. Just like the thought of it is cool. Like it's crazy, but it's been such an adjustment period for me and my family and my other kids and all of that. So thank you for understanding. But also like in that meantime, I've been pressing in to the Lord a lot more, and there were a lot of instances where I felt like I was so overwhelmed, in so many ways, not just as far as, in my walk, in my faith walk, but like just in every way, it felt like I was just being crushed in every direction. And I know that this is very much for the remnant. The remnant is going through these changes because we're transitioning into our promises, and we have transitioned and crossed over, but like there's a lot of things that also we have to take over, right? We have to face the giants in our lands. So I have really been pressing in, especially recently. There was a period of time where I was just truly overwhelmed. I was truly just questioning, the sovereignty of the Lord. I was just questioning, like, how I was going to get through everything, get through these changes, because they're big, and just even like in what He's called me to do, what direction to take, how to go about it, how to deal with it, how to manage it, how to get to it too, because I know what He spoke to me. And when you go into the promise, you clearly have a lot of resistance. So it's also like with my marriage, with my marriage promise, there was just a lot of resistance. But God is sovereign, and He's so on time, and it's amazing because it's like I'm going through all this in real time, and the Lord wants me to show this side of what it is to follow Him. It's not an overnight thing. Like, how does He process us? How does He change us? How does He mold us? How does He truly come and just transition our lives? And it's not easy. There's a lot of opposition and a lot of warfare, but there's so much freedom and so much he just is such an encouraging father, and I'm just grateful because He's truly encouraged me, even though it's like, this faith walk is so interesting, and like it's not an easy thing for anybody, but He truly guides us. And that's what's the most amazing part about the Lord, is that even though you're questioning, like going through the seasons and going through the hardships and going through the testing, you can one day look back and be like, wow, God, you've always been there for me. Like, even when I didn't know I was going through this walk, like He was still there. So how much more now? How much more now when we invite Him into our lives, when it seems like that's when everything goes crazy, right? Why, right? Why does it go like that? Because the enemy knows that you're getting close to God, and God is ultimately sending you into your promises, and He's sending you into purpose. And He can't deceive you anymore. He can't deceive the woman that you are, the person that you are, the man that you are. It just takes one person in the household. Oh, Jesus. It only takes one person in the household to hold it down, to get in alignment and agreement with the Lord. His word states that, Your household will be saved if you hearken to his voice. When we hearken to his voice and when we listen to him and when we decide to consecrate ourselves and to really walk whatever way, direction, whatever pursuing anything that he's bringing forth to us, right? It just takes one person. Be encouraged to know that it's warfare. As soon as you sign those papers, as soon as you give your life to God, as soon as you decide to be serious with the Lord and to be serious with your life, like, marriage is a serious thing. It's a declaration, it's a decree. You're becoming unified with your significant other. You're no longer fornicating, you're no longer living in sin, you're no longer allowing the open doors to keep you bound in the strongholds, in poverty, in debt, in in lack or whatever, however he comes at you, and no longer bound to the lies, right? As soon as you decide to get married, right? Why does the enemy come then? As soon as you decide to give your life to Christ, why does he decide to come then? Like, full force. God is with us regardless of what the enemy tries to convince us of. It may look like on the outside like he's going to win this battle when he is not. He's defeated. And as long as we know that God is with us at all times, as long as we pay attention to him, his word, his promises, reading his word is just such a refreshing time. And even I recently got into reading it a lot, like consecutively on every night. And I'm not gonna lie, like, my pregnancy was difficult in a sense where it wasn't difficult like I'm so grateful that God took care of me and my babies. I did have twins, and they were born in May, but I was just really going through a lot of spiritual warfare in myself, in my mind. Obviously, that's where the warfare is most of the time. And just questioning a lot of, like, not just me as a parent, like me as a where the Lord called me to, and how I felt like I was trying, and I did everything the Lord asked me to do, and it felt as though, like, there was just a lot of demonic oppression after that. Like, it wasn't even anything that was so serious, because I know that at the end of the day, these videos touch the person that they're meant to touch. They're meant to go out and stuff. But I also felt like every time I did post something, it was like this warfare would just come. And I had to learn how to navigate that. Like, the Lord was trying to teach me, okay, how are we going to handle this? Because you cannot handle it in any other way other than spiritually. And at that point, I was so drained that it was so hard for me to feed into my spirit. And I wasn't just going to come on and talk out of my flesh. I'm only going to do what the Lord asks me to do. And at the time, it was like I wasn't disconnected with him, but I was just I wasn't plugging in as much. I wasn't plugging in as much. And let's be real, it's overwhelming. I was still working. I was working. I was just in a pain. Even though my job isn't my career, my career wasn't laborious. It was overwhelming, and there was a lot of warfare too, even at, there with that. And there's always been like that with me. It's always been warfare, but it's like at this point I'm just like, whatever, I'm used to it. But I'm also like, it doesn't faze me anymore like it used to. And it was just a lot. And I want to share what the Lord speaks to me about, like what he wants me to share, because I know the ultimate goal for the Lord, like the ultimate, his will is to reinstate the family, and reinstate the family um, in a real way, because as long as we're in this body, as long as we're in the flesh, in our flesh, not in our flesh, but in this body, mortal body, in the earth, there's gonna be, we have so many emotions, right? And so one thing he's been teaching me lately, and he's been really putting to the test for me, is denying my flesh again. Denying my flesh. And for the time that I was expecting pregnant, I wasn't fasting, I wasn't like doing those things where I wasn't even working out. Like, I was just in a slump, to be honest. And I wasn't allowing myself to be trained emotionally. Like, I didn't have a lot of the motivation that I usually have. I was going through a lot of spiritual warfare, and I felt like so sluggish. I felt defeated almost. I felt overwhelmed. I was just like in this routine of like watching TV, honestly. Like, obviously I worked and I took care of my kids, but I mean, like, aside from that, I was just in this slump of like, I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to try anymore. Like, I just felt like defeated, honestly. And forsaken. I felt like God was like, he had made all these promises. I put my business out there, and I was like, okay, God, I did what you asked me to do. Like, what is it? What's coming out of this? And then I realized, what the Lord was doing is what he was pressing me, and he was taking me out of this. He was taking out, not just my fears, but like also my pride. He's taking out the pride in me, like the strongholds, the word curses, like the things that don't matter, the fleshy things, right? And I still had to grow, and I had to grow in the way that he saw fit. And then I think about 2 years ago, where was I? Where was I 2 years ago? I wasn't really ready to walk into what he had given me, because what he gave me was a big thing. It was not just with my husband, but it was just a lot of change quickly. And God, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to do it. He knows, there was things I was still dealing with. I was still like, I think that if I would have had the promise then, I would have definitely allowed those little things those things that were big, they're big things, to take over, and to like be like, oh, it's okay, these little things, whatever. And the thing is that those subtle things is what cost us a lot, right? Our eternity with Christ, on earth as he had, desired. So I'm just grateful that God is faithful, and I'm grateful that he's faithful in our lives, as long as we ask him, like, to be a part of our lives. He's not a God who's like, beg me. Of course he wants surrender. He wants surrender, and he wants a pure heart. And he purifies us. He purifies our hearts. He really does. The pressing is real, and the pressing is so necessary. And I'm so grateful that he opened my eyes and my heart. I was still dealing with like some form of resentment. I was still dealing with a little bit of unforgiveness, and I was dealing with things from people that hurt me, for my situation. I was still like, I was still feeling certain ways, and I would say things too, that weren't right. And I want to be honest, because regardless of everything, we all have feelings, and we have to deal with them, and God really knows how to deal with them. Mainly, if you ask him to help you, he will help you, because for a long time I was kind of upset, and it was like to the point where if I would see this person, like I would just be so mad, and I wouldn't even like, I was just a hypocrite. I'm not gonna lie, I was a hypocrite. I have a hard time with, like, if I'm upset, I just kind of ignore you, and I'm really rude sometimes. I could be like really, you know, um, like that. And the Lord had to humble me and take that pride out of me, and he had to teach me that at the end of the day, that's not going to do anything for me. So, there's just a lot. There's a lot of still changes, a lot of submission, a lot of lessons, and that he was showing me. And I just want to be honest, because many Christians hide behind that. Like, they hide pretending like they don't do those things anymore. But, deep down, it's like, if you're suppressing those feelings, if you're suppressing and lying to yourself and acting like you're don't doing these things, you're not doing these things, you're not feeling these things, and you're not asking God to change them, and you're not allowing God to give you that time, if you're not allowing yourself that time to be pressed and to be purified and refined, then that's the problem. It's not the fact that we have feelings and we have emotions, and that we have, a little unforgiveness sometimes because people hurt us. It's submitting those things to God. It's giving it, like, and giving him the time to change us. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I will never say that. I have a strong personality and opinion. Like, I have a very stubborn will, and I think, and I know that it was for a reason. It was for something, and it's intended to be for the good and not the petty. And that's why we have to steward what God gives us. Like, how I'm trying to learn how to steward my children and their personalities. And oh my God, it's not easy, There's always a challenging one, and there's always one that you have to change it. Even you have to submit your flesh to God for that, because you're like, oh, okay, come on, And I'm just embracing learning more, having the desire and the burning desire to, like, learn more and press in more and be used again, and be used by the Lord however he asks me to do, whatever he asks me to do. Anyway, I just wanted to say hi to, I just wanted to come on and explain myself and explain where I've been, and just sharing the truth of ministry, and like I said, my children are a ministry, learning how to navigate 5 personalities, really watching my words with them, like what I speak, surrendering to the Lord, because even in that, he's, ministering to me how, for me, having 3 children was not like super. I just enjoy being a mom, okay? Because when I was little, like, growing up, I was really lonely. I never had a relationship with my parents. I didn't have a relationship with my family, with my sisters. So I'm taking this time, and I'm like loving it. I just truly do think that those little moments really, really matter. So my children are not a bother to me. Like, I love being with my kids all the time. I love conversation with them. Not always. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, shut it, But a lot of times I'm just in awe of that, like, being able to have a relationship with my children, because I don't have that with my family, with my parents. I'm just in awe of, like, how amazing children are, and, like, even seeing myself as a child, and, like, thinking of myself as a child is kind of like it's a really healing thing. It's healing, it's healing for me. But so having 3 kids wasn't super hard for me. It was honestly, like, manageable. It was a manageable thing for me. It was it was just something I enjoyed. And now having 5, God was showing me like, you need me. Like, you really need me. And like, and he puts us in situations that where we do have to draw from him, because we can get a little bit like selfish, and we can draw away from him, instead of to him and draw from him. We draw away from him when we think we have it under control. And let me tell you, having 5 children and twins has been a big surrendering moment for me. And when I started like praying again more consistently, because I've always prayed, but like being an intentional morning person where I wake up and I pray and I give him my first fruits in intent and like a desire now. Like, again, I have that desire now to just come to my Father and like sit at his feet. But for a while I was like, I didn't have the desire. Maybe in me, I was kind of disappointed. I don't know what I was feeling. I was just feeling a lot of feelings. I mean, I was just overwhelmed already thinking about everything. But anyway, I have such a desire again for the Lord. And I just want to say, if you have those seasons where you feel overwhelmed, where you feel out of control, or you feel like you can't draw to him, just know that it's warfare, and he will pull you out of it as long as you stay on the path of, at least fighting your flesh of sluggishness and truly carving time for him and his word. Read his word, even just one scripture, even one verse will change your day. And I'm so encouraged to pursue purpose and pursue him, really just mainly him, because purpose comes when you're with the Lord. Like, that's gonna come to you. He's gonna open the doors, he's gonna make the way, he's going to lead you, he's gonna go before you, he's gonna protect you, gonna send his angels before you. I just love to love him now. Like, again, like, I just love to surrender all to him again. I love to just enjoy my Father, and it's just me and him, and truly, like, I'm just here to lift up his desires for you and his people, his remnant, his children, who he wants to comfort. I mean, there's a reason why there's so much stress in life, because that is meant to draw you away from God, to desensitize you to his love, desensitize you to his power, and desensitize you from his, like, his sovereignty, because it seems like the enemy's winning, right? I was in the book of Habakkuk this morning, and God allows things because he's so sovereign. Like, he allows things for his glory. The world will be filled with his glory. It's gonna happen. You better believe it. It's already happening. It's already starting, like, it's happening. At the end of the day, it's happening. And he's going to use all of those bad things to show his glory even the more. And he's just here to rescue us. He's here to save us and to love us and to be with us and to go through the deep waters with us, through the fire, through the deep waters, he's not going to let us drown. He's not going to let us lead us astray or not finish the work that he started. He's not going to do that. So I gotta go because I gotta take care of these children that I'm so blessed with. They're so cute. But be encouraged and be blessed and know that we are in our double portion season. This is a season that the Lord has for us, that it's restoration season. Okay? Don't you doubt that. No matter what it looks like. No matter what it looks like, it's going to change suddenly, quickly. And for those, it's for the remnant, it's not for everybody, but those who are coming into the knowledge of the Lord, just know that he loves you, and he's very he's sovereign. He is so sovereign. Don't ever doubt him. Don't ever doubt him. And the more that you press on to him, the less you'll doubt yourself. Because I would doubt myself, and then I realized that it was the Lord leading me when the outcome would be the outcome. And he's always going to lead you. He's going to direct you. As long as you acknowledge him in all your ways, he will direct your path. He will make it straight.